Excuse me, sir. You there? Would you like to game? Then game we shall.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 on the talk about 212 changes from Blizzcon 2014. I'm here with Hyperion, and we are going to continue talking about the legendaries and the new sets that they've introduced, and so let's get into that. Mr. Alrix, what do you think about the new sets that are being presented?
All right, so they're coming out. So far, we've only seen a new Demon Hunter and a new Wizard set, and to be honest, looking at them, both of them look really fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the new Demon Hunter set is going to be fun. It's going to give you kind of a caster Demon Hunter now.
Yes.
Instead of just your typical sentry, you're actually going to be actively shooting to do your damage,
Right.
which will be really fun.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how many people I've ran into that are just like, God, I hate the M6 setup. Like, I want to be involved. I want to be shooting. I want to be dodging. I want to be in there, like, I want to be doing the damage, and I totally get it, because if anybody played, old D2 and stuff, Amazon was so much fun. Multi-shot and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
I think that's a good positive change. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm looking forward to that. The new Wizard set, I don't play Wizard as a main, really. Not super familiar, but from what I saw, it looked like it's going to be a really powerful set.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will find a way to use it, and it looks like it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I believe
I can't comment on that too much.
I believe it's anything within. It's going to unlock all slow time rune effects, I believe, and then it's going to make everything inside the slow time take 1500% weapon damage, and then everything inside the slow time takes like 500% more damage from like your gale wind or your tornadoes or whatever those are on your frost.
Energy twister.
Twister, your frost orb, all that stuff. So that's going to be pretty awesome. I think that's a very good positive change.
The negative side for me, at least with this stuff, though, is, in my opinion, I think before they're releasing these new sets, which is great, but I kind of I'd rather see the old sets buffed and then become useful.
Yeah.
Like right now on the Demon Hunter, you have the Shadows set, you have Natalia's set. Nobody even thinks about using them, except for when you're initially gearing up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see those fixed before having new sets, personally.
Yeah, and that kind of goes with everything that we feel in this con area. It kind of goes back to the new maps and new monsters. I think it's great. I think Blizzard's really trying to give us good stuff and always trying to produce new content, and I'm not knocking it at all. I really think it's a cool idea. However, I feel like they need to kind of go over and repatch and repolish things that currently were introduced that need to be worked on and fixed a little bit before moving on, personally. So, having that said, there's just areas where, like the cesspool, for example, they had to completely remove it because it was bugged and it wasn't working right, things like that. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just afraid if they start releasing a bunch of new content, new maps, new monsters, I'm hoping that there's not a lot of bugs involved and things like that. So how do you feel about that, Alex?
Yeah, that, I exactly the same thing. Like with the cesspool is in the Greater Rifts, and if you got the cesspool, you pretty much ruined your Greater Rift.
Yeah.
And then also you currently have certain old maps that that'll be buggy and glitchy even on high-end gaming computers, just because there's issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is I'd rather, instead of seeing all these new areas and stuff, I'd rather see those old areas polished up.
Yeah.
Better quality over new content. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's hopefully we can get everybody together and get everybody else's opinions on this, and hopefully we can get some information through, and maybe we'll see those changes in the future.
And the throughout the whole the BlizzCon, when they were talking about stuff, they were talking about less is more, as they were constantly saying about the legendaries. Right. Previously, legendaries or materials, items just rained from the sky, but they were all just horrible.
Yeah.
And now they've refined it to where less legendaries drop, less items drop, but they're much better. Yeah. And I think that same philosophy needs to apply to the maps, the monsters, and the rest of like the set items and stuff. Is decrease. You don't need to release new content, but just make the old content, bring it up to par, or fix it at the same time you're releasing the new stuff.
Right, and I think even like they mentioned revamping the maps so there's no more circles or dead ends. I think that's awesome. Like redoing old maps, that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. So, definitely props to Blizzard for doing that. So we're not, like I said, we're not knocking them. Like, they're doing things definitely in a good positive direction. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. We're not trying to knock them down or anything. Just saying kind of our opinion on how we'd like to see things changed, and maybe give them some suggestions in that direction.
Yeah, and then another great change to that on the maps is they know that the conduit pylon is extraordinarily good. So they had some guys talking and mentioning, well, instead of nerfing and removing pylons, make them a little more common. At least give you 1 or 2. I believe you said at least 2 per Greater Rift that you do.
Yep.
And then on top of that, make the other pylons up to par and as powerful in their own way, which I think is cool. So like on the speed pylon, I know you mentioned it would last for a minute, things like that. Something that I would like to see is the speed pylon not only boost your movement speed, but also increase attack speed, stuff like that. So it's possible ideas there they can do with stuff like that. So moving on to the next idea and topic we want to talk about. As you can see, my stash here is just like full of trial keys. It's full of crafting mats, full of gems. Even over here in my inventory, I got trial keys, stuff like that. And so Alex actually had a really, really awesome idea about this. And I know Blizzard mentioned they, if we give you guys stash space, you'll want more. And if we give you more, you want more. And if we give you more, you want more. And it's like, I totally get it. I understand that idea. However, some simple things that they probably, I shouldn't say simple because I don't know how hard it would be, but some things that they could do to maybe improve that for everybody is, like down here with your gold, for example, and your blood shards, possibly create a section for all your materials or your rift keys and or trial keys. And that way you really wouldn't have to transfer keys from character to character. It would just be account-wide. Same thing with crafting mats. It would be account-wide. I think that's a pretty good idea. Alex also mentioned possibly allowing gems to stack higher than 1,000, or even crafting mats, or even keys. Allow us to stack more than 1,000 or 100, or give us other areas we can put this stuff in. And I had one idea, which would be allowing your legendary gems to be on a tab over here by the jeweler. And that way, you could go in, and if you had a tab with your legendary gems stored in that, you could just grab and put in and pull out whatever you need. So you didn't have to like specifically take it off one character and then put it in the stash, get on that other character, put them in, unsock it, all that stuff. So another option was, Alex basically was saying it would be cool if you clicked on the obelisk over here, and it allowed you to see how many trial keys and or rift keys you had, and just select them from a tab on this, and that way they're stored at the obelisk, so you don't have to worry about that. So anyway, what are your thoughts on that, Alex?
Yeah, I agree, 100% with all that stuff said. If you just look through my stash here, you can see almost 3 stash tabs are taken up with legendary gems and gems, rift keystones and keystone fragments, and crafting materials. Romulandi's gifts, Uber keys, all this stuff. These are things that you really need. You can't get away from. You need the crafting materials to roll on your items. You need the Uber, the keys to run your rifts, and they're all required. So if they're not going to give us more stash space, at least make it so that 2 or 3 of our stash panels aren't taken up with resources that we're required to have, and let us have a full 5 tabs for gear. Yeah. That'd be a huge change. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and even with the gifts here, it'd be nice if they were stackable, possibly. On top of that, we felt that some other quality of life changes that would be nice is have gems and crafting mats on the ground just be picked up like gold is, based off your pickup radius as well. That would be a good quality of life change. If they could do that, that would be pretty cool. I know it's not necessarily, everything we're saying isn't like we want to see this right now, but just in the 2.1.2 changes and even in future changes, I feel like this would be things that are really good to do. So anyway, guys, do you have anything else you would like to add, Alex?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. Just a lot of, there's little things like just this quality of life change that I mentioned that would reduce a lot of the issues that people currently have. Yeah. And it'd make it simpler. Like, for example, every time I want to play my Witch Doctor, I've got to come take my legendary gems out of my Demon Hunter, throw them over, and then vice versa. And you switch characters, and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot. I've got my, legendary gem over here on my Demon Hunter. I got to go get it. Yeah. Or you run a rift with a different character, and you all of a sudden you've got lots of extra gems popping out all over the place. Just little things like that would make a huge difference. With the jeweler idea that Mikey mentioned of having all your legendary gems there, and you can just put them in your character. You're never going to be able to play two characters at once,
right? Which
means there's no reason that you can't just have one enforcer gem. You rank it up to level 50. You can put it on any character you want.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about that because you only have you can only play one character at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing is, as of right now, if I want to have multiple gems on multiple characters, I have to sit here and level up multiple different types of that gem and have them take up stash space as well. So if they don't want to create more stash tab space, I mean, I get it, but just try to make it a little changes in that area and quality of life and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And stuff like, for example, the trial keystone fragments. You can see here I've got about 500, 600 stacked up in my stash tab, and I've got probably another 1,000 off on one of my mules.
Mm-hmm.
You can't drop them. If you see here, you can't drop them. You can't sell them. The only way to get rid of them is to actually use them up.
Yeah.
And so you're just that's just eating up your stash space. I think things like that need to be taken care of.
Yep, and I think account wide is the best way to go, simply because you can't trade any of it anyway. As of right now, trading is not an option, so I don't see the issue with probably doing that and trying to make that a little more accessible and easy for everybody. So, anyways, guys, if you guys have any of your own opinions or any comments on what we said, if you feel differently about some things, leave the comments below. And if we get enough, information, enough people giving feedback on this, maybe we can somehow get the ideas to Blizzard, and maybe, they might listen to some of the ideas. So they, during BlizzCon, they seemed pretty open and really open to some of the ideas that were being given to them. So I really feel like they're trying to really get down with the community and figure out what it is to make this game, even better than what it is currently. So, anything else, Alex? You think that's everything?
I think that just about covers it. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it. As always, thank you for watching my videos. If you liked, please comment, subscribe. And as always, if you haven't checked out Hyperion's channel, please do. He's got a lot of good knowledge, and he's a good gamer as well. And if you guys need any help at all ever, hit us up, let us know. All right, as always, appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time.